Another exciting night of high school football in the books here tonight in North and South Dakota. Welcome to Varsity Sports Live. Jay Elson, Jason, and Dara from our Sioux Falls studios. Jody Norstead will be joining us shortly from our West Fargo studios. But Jason, man, it just keeps getting better, right? With every week, they get a little of the kinks out, and then so far so good. We start to see some guys really starting to take off. Guys and teams both.
We're a couple weeks in now, and some teams have played. There's actually a couple teams that have played 3 games already. Mm-hmm. You start to get a feeling whether the early season stuff is fluky or if teams are for real. But right now, we're just all thankful.
And just soaking
thankful for football.
Right? Each and every one of these Fridays that we get through, we're just
keep wearing
happy
the mask, keep social distancing, because we love this.
Keep it up. Keep it up. All right, let's take a look at some of the scores. Starting in North Dakota tonight, top-ranked Bismarck Century, a 17-6 win over Mandan. Mandan, I think, might be something up there in AAA this year. The Bismarck Demons keep on rolling. Meanwhile, 42-7, they get the win there over Dickinson tonight. Bismarck Legacy bounces back after that loss last week to Century, 54-13 over Williston, and it's Jamestown over Minot, 19-9. West Fargo-Cheyenne, they've looked impressive over the last couple of weeks, Jason.
Yeah, Grant Workentine, big night for him. Watch the highlights, a couple touchdown tosses.
They thumped Fargo North 42-14. Shanley follows up that win last week that aired right here on Midco Sports Network, 50-7 over Grand Forks Central.
2 weeks and you score 50 both weeks. You think you got
something
cooking.
A little offense out there
something cooking
on the field for the Shanley Deacons. Fargo Davies doubles up Grand Forks Red River 44-22, and it's West Fargo in a squeaker over Fargo South 21-20. So West Fargo, some curious results the first couple of weeks, Jason. That narrow win over Fargo North last week, and now a squeaker. This is in the fourth quarter, by the way, 21-20 over Fargo South.
Right. I think the EDC is going to be really full of games like this year where you don't know on a night-to-night basis who's going to show up. And West Fargo, North, South, Davies, all in that race.
All right, the St. Mary's Saints top-ranked, 34-0 over number 5 Valley City tonight. And Beulah, a shutout as well. They blanked Devils Lake by a score of 35-0. Hillsboro Central Valley, 39-6 win over Watford City tonight, and it's Central Cass, the Squirrels, pouncing all over Stanley, 65 rip.
A lot of shutouts tonight in North Dakota.
And there's another one right there, the Lisbon, 50-0 over Oak Grove. Dickinson Trinity upset tonight by Bowman County, 21-20 the final in that one. Maybe a little bit of a surprise for some. And first quarter score there, apparently. Langdon area had more Munich. And Park River FL. Look forward to seeing what happens there. And Oaks, 61-3 winners tonight over Hatton Northwood. Good one up there between Kidder County and Linton-HMB, 36-28.
That one went double overtime, folks. And we've got some highlights coming up. Jacob Beegler had a big night for Kidder County. Can't wait to see how that all unfolded. Jody's going to fill us in here in a little while, so make sure to stay tuned for that, North Dakota football fans.
Another one-score game right there. St. John, 42-36 winners over New Rockford-Cheyenne tonight. So a good one there as well. Cavalier rolls over Dunseth, 64-22, and it's North Prairie over Mohawk Lansford Sherwood, 48-24. What do we got next? Here we go. We're moving over to South Dakota now, and a big one coming up Saturday, of course, top-ranked Sioux Falls Roosevelt not in action tonight. They've got the second half of the 29th annual President's Bowl. And they'll take on Sioux Falls Lake at 6 o'clock. Again,
both undefeated, Jay.
Right here
both
on
undefeated.
Midco Sports Network with Alex Heinert and Mr. Jason Andera. Meanwhile, second-ranked Brandon Valley bounces back after that tough loss to Roosevelt a week ago, knocking off defending state champion O'Gorman 20-14. So possibly some movement coming in this next 11 AAA poll.
Yeah, I think we have some contenders in the top 4, and here's another contender coming up on the next board here.
And that would be the Harrisburg Tigers. You saw them here live tonight on Midco Sports Network, 35-17 over Sioux Falls, Washington. It was tight for a lot of that game. The Harrisburg able to pull away in the fourth quarter. Jacob Knuth has asserted himself as The top QB prospect in the state, perhaps, all classes.
Okay.
We'll fill you in on the details of that if you aren't already aware. Fourth quarter score, Aberdeen Central 27-7 over Rapid City Central tonight.
Slow start in that one, but the Golden Eagles got it going. I think they've got some offense, too. They're going to keep warming up.
Ryan Evans liked their offensive line play when he saw him, head coach of Sioux Falls, Washington, last week, like their quarterback as well. So Aberdeen Central on track for their first win of the season here tonight. Watertown gets its first W, 30-7 over Rapid City Stevens.
Just if we're keeping count here, Dawson Schmidt's at 4 touchdowns now for the season, and we will get to see him at the Rushmore Bowl
next
in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that.
Right here on Midco Sports Network once again. And then you've got a little 11AA crossover with 11A tonight, and Pierre Governors, West Central hanging.
This was close throughout. This was close throughout, and a lot of it was because of penalties. Pierre finally was able to pull away and run the ball at the end of the game. McGuire-Rasky, another 3-touchdown game. Most of this was in the second half. I really think Pierre tired West Central out and won the game just because they were in better shape in the fourth quarter.
All right. More 11AA, 11A action. Yankton 51-15 over Dakota Valley.
I don't know if you remember, Jay, last year these A schools beat these AA schools. Well, this year there was some revenge. Yankton lost last year to Dakota Valley. They got it back. Mitchell, another huge performance for Parker Phillips, and they lost to Sioux Falls Christian last year. So the AA school is getting a little revenge.
33-20 the final in Mitchell tonight. Brookings has themselves a pretty darn good running back. Jason, you saw him firsthand tonight. He had quite an impressive display in Lennox as the Bobcats blank the Orioles 37-0.
As a team, they ran for nearly 400 yards in that one, no doubt, right from the beginning.
Another shutout in Millbank. Huron goes on the road to beat Millbank 30-0.
2 touchdowns for Tyson Lean, and the Huron defense showed up in a big way.
T-Area 2-0 on the year now, 54-0 over Vermilion. Del Rapids gets its second win as well, 41-16 over Flandreau. There we go, Canton, 0-2 now.
How about that? How about that? The champs 0-2, and you could still make a case that they're pretty good. We're going to get highlights of this one and go deeper into that one.
0-2, but 2 top 5 losses for the Seahawks thus far. Winner looking mighty impressive once again, 38-6 over Woonsocket-Wessington, Springs-Sanborn Central.
Yeah, we'll have a couple highlights of this one as well and get into how I think WWSSC
got all that?
might be a team to watch later this year.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see on that. Tonight was not their night. Bridgewater-Emergy-Ethan, an impressive road win at Sioux Valley tonight, 21-12. And St. Thomas More over Sturgis, 16-0. But you think that was a respectable performance for Sturgis?
Sturgis, the last few years, has really struggled with teams like this. And then last week, they played with Pierre for over a half. I think Sturgis, again, by the end of the year, we could be seeing a different team.
Teams get better as the season goes on, right? Viborg Hurley without Chase Mason, 46-0 over Menno Marion tonight. And Canastota Freeman, top ranked, 40-6 winners over Corey Wilson's Oldham Ramona Rutland Raiders.
Another big night for Tice Ortman. He threw the ball for 93 yards and 3 touchdowns and ran another one in. So old news, but Tice Ortman's good.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is, Jason. DeSmet is good. 54-0. That's a top 5 matchup. They won 54-0 on the road tonight over Del Rapids St. Mary.
Yeah, different classes, but I can't wait to see highlights of this one. Exactly, not what we expected. And DeSmet played very well.
And that Coleman Egan game against Castlewood suspended, or rather postponed.
Yeah, just so people know, 3 games tonight did not get played. One was Wolsey-Wessington at Bonhomme, a game that a lot of people were looking forward to. This Coleman Egan game, and then Ipswich didn't play dual. So those 3 games are going to be rescheduled at a later.
It's going to be a little touch and go here as we go forward. Some of those games are going to get made up. Others might not.
Right.
And it's just kind of a product of the environment we're living in right now. All right, let's go to the highlights. And we're going to start tonight with Brandon Valley, a team that really played well in a loss last week at home to Sioux Falls Roosevelt, the now #1 team in 11 AAA. They got all 22 first-place votes this week. Yep. It was a narrow loss. It didn't get a whole lot easier for them. You got the defending state champs rolling into your play.
This is the second week. Brandon is going in with their backup quarterback, the sophomore Lucas Slack. Not a bad backup to have, by the way, but Joel Kobeck is just itching to get back in there for BV. Let's take a look at the matchup.
All right, Chad Garrow's team trying to get things moving early on, but it was that O'Gorman defense. Anders Matichek with the interception. And that led to this. Jacob Schwab, a 1-yard touchdown, put the visitors on top 7-0 early.
Yeah, always good athletes. O'Gorman came out and established the run, got it downfield.
Lucas Schlack to 2-yard touchdown to Carson Mashlin, 7-6 O'Gorman at that point. Fast forward now to the second half. First play from scrimmage in the third quarter. Jackson Hilton makes a guy miss, and you don't want to get this guy out in the open field, Jason. 67 yards.
Yeah, last week he had a lot of Tucker Large on him. Didn't get much room to score. Tonight, he found that electric play in the second half.
13-7 Brandon Valley at that point. Tate Johnson plunges in from a yard out. That made it a 13-point lead. O'Gorman chip it away, though. Tanner Payton, a touchdown run of his own. That made it 20-14. But that would be as close as O'Gorman would manage to get. They come up a little short against Chad Garrow and the Lynx tonight.
Yeah, good night once again for Tate Johnson. Ran the ball well. He did fumble it a couple times, but Brandon was able to take care when they needed to, and just enough to win this game. And I believe we have. Do we have a player here, Mr. Jack? No player. We'll get to Jackson later.
Now let's move ahead now. We're gonna move south to Lennox, and this guy right here had himself a night. Jason, it's running back Josh Burry.
In case you didn't know, he played at Stewartville, Minnesota last year. He and his teammate did. They moved into Brookings this summer and joined up, and he says he feels very welcome by this team, and they did. They marched down in the first quarter and got it started with the touchdown.
Wes Koenig punched it in after Burry did most of the heavy lifting, and again, just scampering down the sideline. 47 yards for the touchdown that time for Burry. And it was quickly 14-0 Brookings, but he was not done yet.
He was not done. Every time you looked, in fact, you really couldn't look at him because he was always scampering to the outside, hurdling. He was shedding tacklers. This wasn't even the touchdown. He got a touchdown right after this to make it 20-0 right before halftime, and then they punched it in. They don't have just Burry, guys. They had another runner that got it done.
Cole McCune, 37 yards for the touchdown. The Bobcats rolled it up on the ground tonight against Lennox. 396 yards rushing.
Don't worry about passing the football. All they had to do was run tonight, and it was all Josh Burry at the beginning. And I got to talk to Josh right after the game. Pleasant man to talk to.
We're scary. We play to win. We're hard workers. We all love each other. We all connect. So that's a tough team to beat when you are that tight of a bond, and that's tough to beat. Yeah, how I've been received is by day one, I already got people here, like I already said in one interview. I got people on this team that'll be in my wedding. Brookings has been the best life choice I've ever made. This team, I love everybody on this team, and like I can't say how grateful I am to be playing on this team. So it's truly a blessing.
A lot of people in Minnesota right now not able to play this fall. He's very thankful, and he called it a life choice, but football's a life choice for him. He's going to be playing Division I football somewhere. I got to see him in person. He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing.
Well, and there's going to be a whole lot more of them before this season is said and done. At least hopefully that's the case.
Yeah,
and
looking forward to it.
Off to a great start there. Brookings, he's life-changing for them, too. He's improved that team dramatically, certainly.
Good team
year.
all the way around, but yes, he definitely makes an impact.
All right, let's go to Class 11A now. Madison and Canton. We talked about Canton, a tough schedule to start the season, and it didn't get any easier tonight after losing to T-Area at home last week. Trey Smith
He's an animal.
Blocks the punt here, and that's going to lead to this. Nate Rickey, the touchdown pass to Carter Bergheim.
Yeah, a couple big touchdown passes for Nate. He's his first year starting quarterback. He was smooth back there. It wasn't a great percentage, but he was smooth.
More special teams issues for Canton here. This one, again, blocked by Trey Smith. He recovers it in the end zone, or rather Logan Elby does, for a touchdown. So that phase of the game, special teams.
Yeah, last year Trey Smith did a lot of offense and defense. This year, making his big impact on special teams.
Oh, we saw Nate Rickey throw for one. Here he is running for another. 54 yards on the QB draw. 21-0 Madison up.
Dad's proud.
He likes what he sees there. Then the defense got into the action again. That's a pickoff there. Dog tired after that, but Ricky going back to work. Finds Bergheim, second touchdown of the night with just 8 seconds left before the half. Made it 27-0. Rich Lundstrom not happy about that, of course. Seahawks respond. Luke Richardson with the TD run on their first offensive possession of the third quarter to get on the board. 27-6 at that point, but just 2 plays later, Ricky and Bergheim. How about 3 times they hook up tonight?
Same thing last week. Made the big plays against Dakota Valley tonight. Made those big plays on special teams. Made the big plays in the passing game.
34-18. Great start to the year for Madison on the road last week at Dakota Valley. Now coming home and knocking off the defending state champs, Canton, 34-18 to improve to 2-0 on the season. All right, let's come back to Sioux Falls now. 11 AAA action. Harrisburg and Sioux Falls, Washington, a game you saw right here on Midco Sports Network. First possession of the game, 28 yards. Jacob Knuth to Andrew Walter. This would not be the only time these two would get together on the night, believe me.
Combination of a great ball and great separation.
Harrisburg's defense was suffocating. Aiden Viox with the sack there. They're going to come back very next snap and get Max Thompson again. He was under pressure all night in this game. They held Washington just 13 yards rushing.
And it was the linebackers. It was the linebackers that had a big game.
Washington did get a little offensive momentum going in the second quarter, but they only got 3 points to show for it. So it was 7-3 at the break. Things really got exciting in the second half. Walter again, 20-yard hookup this time. Walter had 12 catches, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
One place you can put that ball, and that's where Jacob Knuth put it.
Special teams mistake here. Agerman jumps on top of it for Washington. The very next play, Thompson to Carter Strom for the touchdown. That made it 14-10. Washington's right back in this game, but all Tigers after that. Knuth to Ethan Rollinger for the touchdown. Then on 4th and 1, late in the fourth quarter, over the top. How about that throw and catch? Lincoln Carlson, the beneficiary of that one. Malcolm Smith did make a touchdown catch late to keep Washington in the game, but Jacob Knuth was having none of it. He'd answer with another touchdown pass. He had 5 of them on the night. He goes for 284 yards in a 35-17 win over Sioux Falls, Washington.
I'm really impressed with the way the defense played for Harrisburg, but look at Knuth. I think they made the right decision on their quarterback this year. Jacob Knuth showing it on a big stage what he can do.
They've now beaten Washington 2 straight years and look like a bona fide contender in 11 AAA. Let's go to winner and Woonsocket-Wessington Springs-Sanborn Central, and the #1 team in the state in Class 11B looked like it tonight, Jason.
How many guys do you think Winner used to carry the ball tonight, Jay? Just a quiz for you.
Well, I know at least one because Brady Fritz scores a lot.
Brady Fritz scores a lot, but part of their game plan this year is to spread the ball out, and they've got 8 different guys who carried the ball tonight. I mean, I know Winner does that from time to time, but it's crazy how many weapons they have in this backfield. Not the biggest team Winner's ever had by any means, but they have plenty of guys they can go to, including Sam Kruger.
Sam Kruger fighting through tacklers into the end zone as they pulled away early and never really allowed Woonsocket-Wessington Springs to get in this game. Winner runs away. 38-6, your final tonight. And not much more needs to be said about that one. The Warriors for real once again. Good luck to 11B.
Yeah, this is the #1 team. I want to mention, though, that Woonsocket-Wessington Springs-Sanborn Central is a team that probably belongs in consideration of a ranking. They played Winner just about as well as St. Thomas More did last week. And I think by the end of the year, this is a super young team that had a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors last year who are going to come back and get better and better through the year. I think they're going to be in contention in 11B.
Sam Kruger, 9 rushes, 85 yards and a touchdown. But as you said, they spread the wealth on that team, Jason, and it's obviously very effective. They're off to a 3-0 start. All right, good one on 11B tonight. Bridgewater-Emergy-Ethan at Sioux Valley, 2 versus 4. And it was the hometown Cossacks that would strike first in this contest with quarterback Parker Pitts. Going to keep it himself, get the edge, 5 yards.
Is a returning quarterback, but he has put on a lot of strength, a lot of good football weight, and he is really a weapon at quarterback this year.
Seahawks answer, Caden Klum. 10 yards to Jay Storm. What a fantastic football name that is. 7-6 BEE. Fast forward to the fourth. Now, a little defense for you here. Pitt sacked by a host of Seahawks, and that killed what looked to be a potential scoring drive for Sioux Valley. And then coming right back later, Klum to Storm again, wide open down the sideline, 21-12. Bridgewater-Emergy-Ethan at that point, and then this would seal it just a couple of minutes later. Tip pass picked off by Eric Gustafson, and the Seahawks get a nice road win tonight, 21-12.
Trying to remember the last time BEE scored more points passing than rushing. 2 passing touchdowns, guys. This is like
they've had a couple of decent quarterbacks there.
I know they've had good quarterbacks.
They don't throw it a lot.
They don't throw it a lot.
They've had some guys who can sling it.
Yeah, we know that from Brady last year.
We knew we had to come up here and play good. First quarter, they came out, kind of rattled us a little bit. Got in the huddle, we come together. It's like, come on, guys, we can do it. And, came together and put another 3 quarters together.
That's Caden Klum, quarterback. Saw him throw a couple of touchdown passes tonight, and Bridgewater-Emergy-Ethan off to another good start. They just reload, you know.
Right.
I mean, it's cliche in this business, but they really do.
Well, everybody was worried about Brady Hawkins because he was, once in a decade type player for them last year. So to lose that quarterback and then for Caden Klum to step in and have a big night tonight, throwing a couple of touchdowns, that's got to give BEE a lot of confidence. But Sioux Valley, to be able to play with the Seahawks tells me they definitely belong in the top 5.
All right, another 11B team, ranked team in action tonight. St. Thomas More visiting Sturgis up there at Woodle Field. And not a lot of offense in this game, particularly in the first half, unfortunately.
Yeah, they've got a couple nice running backs. Caden Phillips, one of them. But the question here is St. Thomas More, can they throw the football? And it looks like Jed Sullivan might be their guy.
It's Jake Gobble up the middle for a long pass. Then it was Sullivan to Jack Green on the sideline. They got it moving a little bit. Ryan Wojcik tried to get him down toward the end zone there. They kept pounding their way down there, but they ended up at the end of this drive missing what was their second field goal of the night at that time. The Scoopers come back, try to get it going through the air on their own. Tanner Ortley to Sandon Graham, 15 yards, but that was the only big play of that series.
I really like how this program has been building, though, and last couple of years, they just got wiped by St. Thomas More. In this game, they're playing blow for blow with the Cavaliers. And, yeah, there was no score in this first half. But in the end, Ryan Wojcik did get a touchdown run, and St. Thomas More barely held on for this one with a couple scores. And then one of the best kickers in the state, Jack Green, tacked on a field goal.
They missed 3 of them tonight. But, yes, 16-0 St. Thomas More improves to 2-1 after that loss to Winter last week. They get the win over Sturgis on the road tonight. All right, let's move it on now to the 9-man ranks. And another really good team here, SMET, number 4 in Class 9A over Del Rapids St. Mary. And Colt Wilkinson finds Keelan Gary on the first drive, and they get on the board short time after that with Wilkinson. SMET leads 6-0. The defense kind of controlled the game for them, though.
Yeah, you know what? And that's scary because they've got so many good athletes that can play defense, and then they can do this on offense. What a catch.
Wilkinson to Keelan Gary, 14-0. Ross Flemmer just trying to get his team going. They're a good team.
Right.
But they're getting pounded here.
Yeah,
And he just wants to get them fired up. Noah Olin. Nice little run here. Unfortunately, the highlights just were really few and far between for the Cardinals tonight. Their drive stalled there. Then it's Gary again. Finds the end zone. 30-yard run this time to make it 22-0. And then that defense, it's Wilkinson playing quarterback, throwing guys down, hurting their feelings.
Colt Wilkinson and Keelan Gary are going to be a problem for the rest of 9A. Last week, they led Canastota almost throughout the game. and just barely lost. They're going to keep getting better, folks. And tonight, I mean, that's a statement game, guys, to be able to take a ranked team and do that. Because Del Rapids St. Mary is better than this. I mean, they're, maybe not as good as the SMET, but they're better than this.
But you know what? The good news for them is they don't have to worry about it once they get to the postseason. They're not going to see them again. So,
right. They're different classes.
But an impressive display, no doubt, over the last couple of weeks for DeSmit. I mean, even in a loss last week to Canastota Freeman, and then going on the road and doing this to as you said, a solid Del Rapids St. Mary team. That's no joke.
Yeah, and then DeSmet, of course, we talked about them playing Canastota Freeman, how close those two teams might be. Canastota Freeman tonight beat another undefeated team in Oldham Ramona Rutland, which we thought might be a contender and really took care of business there. So I think those two teams in 9A, it could be a lot of fun in 9A this year.
Looking forward to it. All right, well, I'm also looking forward to what happened tonight in North Dakota. And for more on that, we're going to bring in our good buddy, Jody Norstead. That's next here on Varsity Sports Live.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by South Dakota State University and Avera Orthopedics.
Hey, welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Jay Elson, Jason Andera in the Sioux Falls studio. It's time to shift the focus to North Dakota now and welcome in our good buddy Jody Norstead from West Fargo. Jody?
Hey, guys.
Are you
how
having
you
as
doing?
much fun up there as we were down here tonight? Or?
Yeah, I even set the fire alarm, or not the fire alarm, the security alarm off here. So we had a noise ringing in our ear while we were editing all these highlights. So
Are you kidding?
yeah, if I'm spacing out, that's the reason why. But
If it says fire exit, you're not supposed to go through there.
right? Woe is
What?
me, though. Woe is me. But we have some great helmets here. Big matchup in the EDC between West Fargo and South. Lisbon was in town here in Fargo, and you're going to want to stick around for these Kidder County highlights that we'll show you in a bit. But we start in the EDC. Remember, Class 3A, WDA, this is going to be their final week, and then they have a bye week, and then they resume their season, that built-in bye week. The EDC, this is just kind of, it's starting to be crunch time already, and we're talking about week 2, but there's so many pivotal EDC games. We had Red River against Davies on our network. Brian Sean and Jeremy Klein had the call, and they have the highlights.
We talked about Fargo Davies getting that touchdown run from Hartness, and really the Eagles had their way on the ground when they were able to get in a rhythm.
That ground game looked so good. It was a three-headed monster between NC, the guy who just made the tackle there, and Wehrmeyer and Hartness, and there's NC's 5th rushing touchdown this season, and he's only played a game and a half.
But here was kind of the momentum changer. This ball goes off the hands of NC on the throw from Hartness, and Leduc makes the interception and takes it back into the end zone for a touchdown, and that gets the Riders on the board. And then with just a few seconds to go until halftime, the snap over the head of Dylan Pogue, and pretty tight game. A couple of explosive plays in that third quarter. 72-yard touchdown pass to Denver Pekowski gave the Eagles a 22-9 lead. But how about this throw from Heikerts hooking up with Payne for 54?
Yeah, the youth movement keeping Red River in this game, but towards the end, Davies Eagles just showing how good they are, showing that they deserve that number 5 ranking, and they put the foot down on the gas pedal ever since that touchdown by Red River.
Yeah, Alney with the touchdown reception on a nice ball there from Hartness, and then NC, the backbreaker, 97-yard score late in the game. And then Feldner came in and played quarterback for a series and found Austin Harmson out of the backfield on 4th down and 4 and turned it into a touchdown. And then the scoring capped off by Ulrich on this 38-yard touchdown.
And there you get a look. Davies just kind of having its way with Red River tonight, doubling them up 44-22. Ethan NC with another huge game on the ground, and we spoke with him after the game.
When we got a lot of guys that can carry the ball, especially a lot of guys that have different strengths and weaknesses, maybe a power back or running back or a shifty back. It's kind of hard to determine what they're going to determine what the offense is going to do. So.
Well, let's take a look at another one of the top dogs in the EDC, Cheyenne, taking on North. Cheyenne's first drive was pretty run heavy, and there's a reason why. They like to go to Brika-Penu, but here's a rare pass. Grant Workentine finding Alex Erlob in the end zone from 18 yards out, makes it 7-0. Cheyenne's next possession, things were going well until Braden Jodzis trips up Workentine, who then drops the ball right into the hands of freshman Tanner Fugel. Talk about right place, right time for the young man. takes it all the way down to the 3. North fans loving that one. The interception would set up this pitch from Daniel Butane to the big man Jacob Brocious, who's just going to truck stick the defender here. Watch Jacob. He has a lot of colleges looking after him. That would tie the game up. It's 7 apiece in the first quarter. How about that? Cheyenne coach Jeremy Newton gets Workington ready for the next possession, but first play of the new quarter, he loses the ball again. The pitch to Barika Penu goes awry. North recovers, but Cheyenne's defense holds strong as they force them to go 3 and out thanks to this huge hit by Lance Oster. Watch him lay some wood. Boy, number 3, he can cover and he can hit. Cheyenne marched down the field, down to the 3, and they hand it to Penu, and the ball gets knocked out of his hands, but luckily his offensive lineman, Dylan Hemrick, is right there. Big guy touchdown. Go celebrate that TD. Put him up 14-7 midway through the second. Cheyenne goes on to pull away in this one in the second half. 2 TD passes for Workington. Erloff hauls in a pair of them. 42-14, the Mustangs move to 2-0. Let's take a look at what Shanley did tonight. Going to the highlights, the Deacons hosting Central. Shanley already up 21-0. Things just getting worse for Central. A fumble on this play from Central quarterback Ty Lorenz. It's recovered by Shanley with just under 3 minutes to go in the first half. Shanley uses nearly all 3 minutes to score once more before the break. The keeper, Cooper Mattern, makes it 28-0. Central coach Bill Lorenz tries to keep his guys up for the second half, but Shanley came out in the second aggressive as Mattern is going to fake the toss, launches it downfield to find the little guy, John Gorge, who had the hat trick last week of touchdowns. That's a great catch down to the 1. I can't tell if he's in pain or just upset it wasn't a touchdown. Mattern does the rest. He's in from a yard out, makes it 35-0. Boy, Mattern happy with his team. They put up 50 last week, well on their way again in this one. Central refused to go home without points. Those Lorenz with a dart to Sam Strandel. He's a good-looking receiver for Central. 35-7 halfway through the third. But on the first play of Shanley's next possession, Central gets some pressure up the middle. Madden rolls out to find Carter Kochman, who barely stays in, cuts it back to the middle of the field. It's a 64-yard touchdown for Kochman, and Shanley ends up running away with this one. Cooper Mattern, 11 of 13 for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 2 touchdowns in the home win over Grand Forks Central. Kochman, 220 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a monster night for those two fellas. Let's take a look at Century against Mandan. This was a good one. Heavy dose of Cade Garcia, the WDA's leading rusher a year ago. Just run. Finally brought down, and this is what Century wanted to do against this Mandan team. This ended up being a matchup, though, of 2 very evenly matched teams. They settle for 3 there. Mandan threatening, but it's knocked out at the last second here, ruled incomplete. And then it's more Cade Garcia. Garcia right, Garcia left. That's what you do behind that big veteran offensive line. They wrap them up finally, and then Garcia finally finds the end zone, makes it 10-0 with 1:33 left in the first half. Mandan comes back from their 4 with a pass from Jace Lohman to Trace Teets. It was ruled he stepped out of bounds before he fumbles here. Mandan to the 3 with another shot from Jace Lohman to Anthony Johnson. Haul it in, sir, into the end zone. So here comes Mandan working their way back, but it wasn't to be as Ian Eli, I don't think he was in the end zone there. Ian Eli stepped in front of this pass to pick it off. Mandan's drive ends there, and it's 10-0 at the half. Mandan scores late here in the 4th, but the Patriots prevail 17-6. So Century, another tough test, but they get this one in the win column tonight. The Century Patriots improved to 2-0 heading into the bye.
It's important to get right off the bat, get those dirty yards. We just sets the tone of the game. We started off good, and that's what helped us win this game. It's very important for our team. We're run offense, so in practice we're working really hard. We're getting our footwork drills, and we're doing our speed and agility, and working with the line up front. So that's what we do in practice.
Bismarck playing a team that they usually have their way with in Dickinson. First quarter, Isaiah Hughes, the junior. Gosh, we're going to have a lot of highlights of this guy on Varsity Sports Live this season. Look at the blocking out front, too, as Hughes gets into the end zone. 45 yards, 7-0 Demons. VHS up 14-0 now, but the Midgets, Luke Mavitti plows it in from 3 yards out. Dickinson on the board, trailing 14-7. They cut that lead in half. The Demons answer right back. Caden Fisher drops back and finds a wide open Kavitso for a 34-yard score, 21-7 Demons. Houston, another good night. The Demon offense, another good night, is Bismarck goes on to win this one 42-7. So they are 2-0, matching Century's effort as well. Another big WDA score. Jamestown, by the way, beat Minot for the first time since 2002. Let's go to Legacy against Williston. Williston on defense here. Eden's Doomerville, a senior on senior night, sacks Clay Phelan. The ball comes loose. Christian Minton scoops and scores. Williston up 7 after the field goal. Here comes the Sabres. It's 7-7. Lyric Hoffman takes off 38 yards to Pater. Tough to slow down Mr. Hoffman. Legacy up 14-7 after the kick. Then they call Hoffman's number again. He makes it 21-7. Remember, Legacy was starting to build momentum in that second half last week on national TV against Century. Almost came back to win it. They keep on rolling tonight. Max Barrett gets into the end zone from 13 yards out. And then check out this next play. Clay Phelan was showing off his arm on national TV last week. He has a pretty good dart. We've seen some good Bismarck QBs in the past. You think of Cade Feeney and maybe a guy named Carson Wentz. That one right on the money to Keegan Woodbury. 35-yard strike is 38-7. Legacy goes on to win big. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. 54-13. The Sabres move to 1-1. They are going to be tough to deal with this season. Let's hop over to 2A where it was 1 versus 5. St. Mary's visiting Valley City. Highliners, this is their opener because they had a player test positive for COVID, so they had their first game canceled against Beulah. They're going to try to run this one, and their quarterback is actually going to cough it up. Cale Griebel making his first start, and that one will hurt. St. Mary's turns it into points. My preseason player of the year in Class 2A, Cullen Curl bouncing off blockers, finds his way into the end zone, 7-zip. Later in the first, they get it to Curl on the reverse, and nobody is home on the backside of that defense. Curl makes one man miss, 22-yard touchdown, he's in. New quarter, same result, the handoff to Curl. Oh, this time he scores from 9 yards out. Good bloodlines on him. Britta, his sister, plays hockey at Wisconsin. Won a national title with him. The St. Mary's offense continues to click. Nick Schumacher, tip pass doesn't matter. Jackson Rorick has it, 27-zip. Top team in the state is rolling. Valley City's defense comes up with a highlight reel play to end the half, though. Schumacher's pass bounces off the receiver's hands. Check out Drew Zahn making the one-handed interception, but it's all for naught. St. Mary's steamrolls the Highliners 34-0. St. Mary's looking like the real deal through 2 weeks. They get Hillsborough Central Valley next week. That will be a fun matchup to follow. Let's take a look at Trinity taking on Bowman County, a good Class A matchup. Those Bulldogs. Junior quarterback Quade Lardy going for the end zone, finds senior tight end Brady Sen for a 12-yard touchdown. Point after kick good, 7-0 lead on the first possession. Second possession for Trinity. Senior running back Nathaniel Gillick, he was our game ball winner in week 1. About halfway to 1,000 yards, he gets a 10-yard gain there, but the Titans drive stalls. QB Jack Daniel runs to the right, can't get this one past the sticks. The Bulldogs capitalize on the change of possession. Lardy again going to the air. Caleb Duffield wide open as Bowman County takes a 14-point lead, and the Bulldogs hang on to win this one, moving to 3-0. Good matchup, a 21-20 victory. They get Killdeer on the road next week. Let's take a look at the Grovers, one of the most beautiful settings in high school football, right along the Red River in Fargo. Lisbon, the third-ranked team in the state in Class A. Well, they had kind of a sluggish start. Hunter Schultz takes a snap. Cole Fun jars the ball loose, and Trayvon Rodriguez there for the recovery for the Grovers. But Oak Grove eventually has to punt. Ball back to the Broncos, and the offense starts to assert itself. Jordan Sowers gets to the edge, turns it up the sideline, 34 yards for the score to make it 6-0. Then on the last play of the first, Sowers takes the direct snap, and just look at the vision and patience of number 2. He slips a few tackles, turns on the burners for another touchdown. He had 237 rushing yards last week against Central Cass. He's just adding to that total. The Broncos find the end zone again in the second. Bowden Greenley, we had a few more highlights there. Bowden Greenley, if we can get back to those, maybe not. We'll just jump to the scoreboard here. Broncos stampede to a 50-0 victory. Let's take a look at our next matchup, Linton-HMB against Kidder County. What a matchup this turned out to be. Lucas Schumacher for Linton-HMB slinging it to Carter Renz. That makes it 14-8 Linton-HMB. Kidder County here trying to fight back. It's going to be Wyatt Miller on a 2-yard touchdown run. Here comes Miller right around the edge. And that makes it a 14-14 tie. Linton-HMB trying to take the lead, but it's a forced fumble on this play. And taking it all the way back is Carson Schmaltz. So another big guy touchdown. I love it when the big guys get in the end zone. 20-14 Kidder County. Trey Jacob trying to answer. He does answer a 28-yard touchdown run. That ties the game at 20. That's what we were at going into the fourth. And then Lucas Schumacher with a chance to win the game. It's like 40 seconds left. He fumbles at the 2-yard line, so it's a turnover on downs. We're tied at 20 at that point. Kidder County is able to just run the clock out. We go to overtime. So clean slate, 20-20. Lucas Schumacher, Linton-HMB gets the ball first. This time stretches out, and the touchdown is good for Mr. Schumacher. 2-pointer good. Kidder County with the answer, Jacob Biegler. He's going to score from 5 yards out. He gets the 2-pointer, so we go to a second overtime. So now Kidder County is going to get the ball first. Jonah Harder, fooled you guys. Wide open around the end, gets the 2-pointer, and now Kidder County needs to make a stop. Trace King in at quarterback, and he's looking to throw to Schumacher. This worked a few times in the game, but not this time. Jonah Harder with the interception. He clinches it. What a win for Kidder County. That was 1 versus 4 in the state. The defending champs prevail in a big victory.
You know, even in playoffs, regular season, you got to have grit at all times. And just like state championship, all them playoffs, like we were close in some games, and then especially the state championship, we were up and then down. And we knew we had to have grit, so you just look back to that moment and you'd be like, wow, these boys still have it from last year. So that's exactly what we were thinking the whole time, just grit, 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 that's us.
What a performance. Let's go back to 3A. West Fargo taking on South in the late game tonight. Scoring opens up early in the second quarter. West Fargo's Parker Nelson gets the handoff, and he finds the edge and the end zone to make it 7-0. Just a couple minutes later, West Fargo gets into the red zone again, and it's a near disaster, but then it turns into a touchdown. Carter Hansen mishandles the toss. No problem. I'll just pick it up and get into the end zone. Makes it 14-0. South finally gets on the board thanks to Bakar Fula, who gets a good block. Fula had that Sports Center number 4 play last week on our airwaves. Boy, he's an exciting player to watch, isn't he? That cuts the lead in half, but West Fargo answers as it's Nelson finding the edge of the end zone again for his second touchdown. It's back to a 2-score game. South wanted back in the game, and back into it they got. Peyton Kessel is going to roll out, somehow avoid the sack, find Dane Sturlogson in the end zone. South recovered an onside kick, and then they take a shot to the end zone again here, and Kessel is going to drop a dime to Cameron Archigo. First time coming out for football since he was like a freshman. That's a big one. But South misses the extra point to tie it, so they end up losing this one. West Fargo holds on 21-20. So guys, locked and loaded. So many good matchups, so many down to the wire games, and that was certainly fun to watch. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with zone coverage here on Varsity Sports Live as we recap a big night in North and South Dakota high school football.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live as we get ready for some zone coverage. And boy, what a matchup in the 9-man ranks we had. Number 1 versus number 4. Kidder County, the defending champs, their only loss last season was to this Linton-HMB team. This game goes to double overtime. You just saw the highlights, a 36-28 victory for Kidder County, who has a new head coach, by the way, in Dave Silbernagel, taking over for Mr. Biesterfeld, Jack Biesterfeld. And here's what Coach Silbernagel had to say after the big win.
We talked about it after the game. We said there's times during the season where you've got to dig it a little bit deeper, and tonight we found that we can dig deeper. I mean, it was both teams had kids that were cramping up and tired, and we found a way. I'm proud of my kids.
Oh, what a fun game. And I like the headlights in the background, too, of that 9-man matchup. So Kidder County looking like the team to beat still in 9-man. In 3A, what a big victory. Davies continues to keep rolling. They moved to 2-0. It hasn't been all that pretty, but for another first-year head coach, Wayne Wehrmeyer, they're getting the job done.
Hats off to Red River. They came out and they gave us some things defensively that we didn't expect. And Vern does that a lot to a lot of teams. He mixes and matches his defensive line, and that's sometimes tough for an inexperienced offensive line. But yeah, we challenge the kids at the end of the third quarter. Just don't get out physical, don't get out hustled, and take a peek at the scoreboard when you're done and see where we're at. And very proud of how they did that in the fourth quarter.
As for the big matchup out west, it was Century against Mandan, and Century, another game where they kind of had to hold on. They didn't have the biggest numbers, but they end up pulling away and getting the 17-6 victory. A late touchdown by Mandan kind of made things maybe a little bit interesting, but Century gets the victory, and Ron Wingenbach knows that there's some errors happening here early in the season, but they head into the bye week 2-0.
Cade's had a heck of a year, a heck of a 2-year run, but he'll give credit to the guys up front and vice versa. The one thing that we've got to develop now is we go into the bye week, then we go into homecoming, and we got the Minot Magicians. We've got to be a little more balanced with the passing game, and we just need to work on that a little bit more. But it'll come. I've got all the confidence in the world in those guys.
Guys, that is a wrap for our North Dakota side of things. Another fun night in South Dakota, too. We'll toss it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jody. Good stuff up there in North Dakota, and a couple of good games that we talked about as well tonight, and one specifically involved the defending state champs in 11 AAA, O'Gorman at Brandon Valley, and this one went down to the wire, and it was the Lynx that came out on top.
Rematch last year's 11 AAA championship game. It went the other way this time with a couple new teams, and we talked to the Lynx after the ball game.
Second half, we came out very explosive. First half, we weren't very happy about. We got it fixed in the locker room. Just came out, played hard the second half. Made a couple mistakes on my own part, which is on me. But got out here with the W. That's all that matters.
Going into the halftime, we all were just talking. We were like, this is not how we can play football. Like, we just know that our offensive line can do a lot better. We know Tate can do a lot better. Like, all of us wide receivers can do a lot better. And then Coach Gale, called a bubble route from me, and he's like, just do what you do.
I was going to say, all of them talked about, or both of them rather, talked about how we can play better. They come out first play of the third quarter. Jackson Hilton goes 67 yards for a touchdown. Well, that's better.
He's had 2 of those this year. He had the pick 6 last week and then the big touchdown this week. That's what he provides. And Tate provides what he always provides. It's just getting you down the field. He did make a couple mistakes tonight, like he said, but he did enough to keep his team in the W column.
Certainly a big win tonight for Brandon Valley. Maybe a little movement coming up this week in the 11 AAA poll after that loss for O'Gorman. Back to wrap it up with a rundown right after this. The rundown tonight, one play from every game. Brandon Valley, a big 20-14 win over O'Gorman tonight to get into the win column. Harrisburg, Jacob Caduth establishing himself as a top quarterback prospect to Lincoln Carlson there. 1 of 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah, 4 last week, 5 this week. What's he got in store for us next week, Jacob?
Good question. How about this guy, Josh Burry?
Josh Burry's an animal. 2 long touchdown runs and just carried Brookings to a big win against an 11A opponent.
Canton, tough sledding tonight on the road in Madison. A couple of block punts spurred the Bulldogs to a good start, and they never looked back.
3 touchdowns for Carter Bergheim tonight.
Winter looking very much like the number 1 team in Class 11B.
Yeah, they ran the ball all over the Blackhawks. Score was very similar to last week's win over St. Thomas More.
Josh Storm, a couple of touchdowns, Jay Storm rather, a couple of touchdown catches for Bridgewater-Emergy-Ethan.
That should be your
big
new
road
nickname,
win.
Jay Storm.
I think I was right, actually. It was Josh Storm. Now that I think about it, not a lot of scoring out west. St. Thomas More blanks Sturgis 16-0, and SMET on the road over Del Rapids St. Mary 54-0.
We know he can play basketball, but man, that kid can play football too.
Meanwhile, in North Dakota, out west, big matchup. Jody talked about it. Bismarck Century winning at Mandan 17-6.
Kate Garcia, 2 touchdowns on the night.
Their intra-city rivals. Meanwhile, Bismarck High having very little trouble with Dickinson. Bismarck Legacy, meanwhile, a big win over Williston, 54-13, the final in that one. West Fargo Cheyenne looking strong again.
Yeah, Grant Workentine, 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs, and the Mustangs get it done.
Shanley, explosive once again tonight, 50-7 over Grand Forks Central.
Carter Cookman, 2 touchdowns on the night. 2nd week in a row that the Deacons have hit the half-century mark.
Into the end zone. Fargo Davies, Grand Forks Red River on Midco SN2 tonight. And Davies gets the win, doubles up the Rough Riders 44-22. West Fargo, game was closer than that. 21-20, I believe, right?
No, 35-20. We did have a
that's
score
updated
earlier,
from the beginning
but
of
Parker
the board.
Nelson,
That's
3
correct.
big touchdowns.
Correct. 35-20, the final in that one. Let's get it right, Jay. 34-0 for St. Mary's tonight. Lisbon blanks Oak Grove 50-0.
Yeah, Jordan Soares, 2 touchdown runs, also had a touchdown catch. Big win for Lisbon, staying in the rankings.
And, of course, you had a good one. Bowman County nips Dickinson Trinity 21-20. And then another one-score game here. St. John over New Rockford-Cheyenne, 42-36 for the Woodchucks.
I like the high-scoring, close games, just up and down, a lot of scoring. How about this double overtime
one
game?
was something else. Kidder County, 36-28 over Linton-HMB in double overtime. The defending state champs, as Jody said, looking very much like the team to beat in 9-man once again.
Yeah, Jacob Bigler, 177 yards in the night, but it took 2 overtimes for them to get it done. And a lot of fun up in North Dakota. But tomorrow we've got a fun one in South Dakota. We did this one tonight. It's this one tomorrow night. And
that guy,
me and Alex
will be on the call along with Alex Heinertz. But thanks so much for watching. Another great night of high school football here on Varsity Sports Live. For Jason Andera, Jody Norstead, our producer, Travis Wagaman, I'm Jay Elson. Thanks for watching.